Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is a series where I am counting down my top 5 favourite places to visit in every Australian state. This is video number 4 in the series. I've already talked about Western Australia, Queensland and Tasmania and Victoria last week. So let's just get into it, let's dive into the bucket and see which Australian state we're going to be talking about today. So just like last week, we have another double treat for you today because I am going to be counting down my top 5 favourite places to visit across the Northern Territory and South Australia. So this is basically the whole central section of Australia. So I have a bit of a confession to make. Uluru, or Ayers Rock as people know it, will not be on this list. I'm sorry, but when I went to Australia, I just did not make the time to go visit, which looking back, I do regret. But as I've mentioned in previous videos, when I was in Northern Territory, I basically spent most of my time in Darwin, where I was working behind a bar to fund my trip for Asia. So planning a trip down to Uluru was just not on the cards, unfortunately. It just takes proper timing, effort and planning, and I just never went. I'm so sorry, I'm really sorry, I hope you can forgive me. But in a way it's good because it gives a chance for lesser known locations to shine. So let's kickstart this list with number 5, which is the Northern Territory's capital city, Darwin. Darwin is really rich in Aboriginal culture. There's some great food choices at night markets, and it's just got a very laid back, relaxed vibe about the whole place. I worked in Darwin for about 6 weeks. There's lots of bars and there's a big backpacker community. There's several hostels sort of on the one strip. And if you saw my previous video about Australia's climate, you would have heard me talk about how Darwin has a man-made beach because you can't go swimming in the water because it's infested with crocodiles. But Darwin's waterfront is a really cool place to hang out. You can chill at the beach. They've got the inflatable water park there, but you can also go visit the restaurants and bars along the seafront. Just 47 kilometres south of Darwin, you've got a beautiful little spot known as the Berry Springs. It's perfect for a day trip. You can take a picnic, have a dip in the springs, and you can take a hike around the looped walking track. If you are in Darwin on a Thursday or a Sunday night, then I thoroughly recommend heading down to the Mindle Beach night markets at sunset. With Darwin's close proximity to Asia, you get a lot of Asian inspired dishes, and there's often street performers and bonfires and fire dancing on the beach. Moving on to number 4 on this list, and we are sticking to the Northern Territory and visiting the area of Katherine, where the outback meets the tropics. So it's an area that's full of natural beauty. Make sure to visit the Elsie Hot Springs, which are 34 degrees all year round. It's like getting into a lovely natural jacuzzi. And nearby you can visit the Nitmaluk National Park, where you can see some fantastic waterfalls, including the 17-mile falls and the Biddlecombe Cascades. Both of these can only be found along the Jatbula Trail, which is a bit of a hike. The Biddlecombe Cascades are about 8 kilometres in, but to see the 17-mile falls, that is a serious 4 to 5 day hike along the 62-kilometre trail. So I mean, if you're really into it, good luck. You do what makes you happy. But if you're lazy like me and you just want to have a little bit of a swim, a little bit of cool down, then there's plenty of rock pools to visit as well, including the one at Edith Falls. For number 3 on this list, we are heading down to South Australia and its capital city, Adelaide. Adelaide is quickly becoming the lifestyle centre of Australia. There's lots of small bars, there's a great art scene, plenty of festivals and markets, and it has Semaphore Beach, which just has the most gorgeous white sand. Adelaide is one of these places I really wish I'd spent more time here. I know it is popular amongst young people. It's got some botanic gardens, some gorgeous architecture, which I really love. Architecture is really what draws me to a city most of the time. So yeah, I think Adelaide is an Australian city that should not be skipped. For number 2, we are staying in South Australia, and this is the Great Australian Bight. The Great Australian Bight is basically a shallow but large curve in the coastline, and it's home to an abundance of marine wildlife and some dramatic sea cliff faces. This marine park stretches far into the ocean and acts as a protected area for endangered southern right whales. This means that if you are lucky, you are likely to catch a glimpse of several whales at the one time. The best time to try your luck at finding some whales is between June and October, because this is the time when the whales gather for breeding, and all vessels are prohibited from entering the marine park. You can visit Head of Bight, which offers a viewing platform to see some of this amazing wildlife. My map fell down. Stay. Where was I? Oh yes, the wildlife. Fun fact, but 80% of Australian sea lions are also found in this area, so keep your eye out for them. While you're visiting, you can drive down the Air Highway, which is Australia's longest straight roads at 90 miles long. And if you're a seafood lover, make sure you visit Streaky Bay, which is quickly becoming popular for its seafood restaurants and as a popular fishing destination. And finally, we come to number 1 on this list, which is the Litchfield National Park in the Northern Territory. This national park is a popular day trip from Darwin or Katherine, but either way, it is a must-see with its stunning waterfalls, its relaxing waterholes, and its sandstone pillars known as the Lost City. But you can also camp overnight, which I recommend so that you can get the most out of the experience. Some of my favourite spots in the national park are the Booley Rock Holes, which is a lovely place to relax in the shallow running water. I also really like the Wangi Falls because you have to walk through this tropical forest before you get to the large pool with the falls. And I found this cool little mini pool just under the waterfall, which is cool to just chill in and people watch. Everyone people watches, don't they? But I would say my favourite spot in the national park is the Florence Falls. The waterfalls are short, but they're much more powerful, and the pool is enclosed by these tall cliffs that makes it feel like you're in this sort of tropical oasis paradise. I cannot recommend Litchfield enough, and as I said before, I think camping there for 1 or 2 nights is the way to go. So there you have it, that is my top 5 places to visit across Northern Territory and South Australia. These 2 states are really dominated by a lot of natural beauty. I know that there's so much more to explore in these states, so I would love to get the chance to go back and see what else it has to offer. But before we finish, as usual, I'm going to do a couple of honourable mentions. And it's not hard to figure out what these honourable mentions are going to be. My first honourable mention is going to the Kakadu National Park in the Northern Territory. Now, if you've been following my videos, you'll know that I did actually try to visit Kakadu, and I explain the reason why I never got there in this video. Just as a warning, it does involve an unfortunate incident. I'm not going to go into more detail than that, you'll just have to watch the video, okay? Kakadu is actually Australia's largest national park, and there are plenty of amazing waterfalls. You can visit the rainforest, you can cruise down the wetlands and try to spot some crocodiles. There's also plenty of sites where you can see some ancient Aboriginal rock art. You can see its art for your own eyes and learn about Aboriginal culture, which I think is really cool. There's also the Kakadu Escarpment, which you might recognise because it was made famous by the film Crocodile Dundee. You can take a 2-kilometre return walk to these infinity pools right on the edge of the cliffs just above the waterfalls, and it looks stunning. This is just making me mad that I never made it there. And I'm not even going to tell you why we never made it, you're just going to go have to see the video, but oh, we're just so unlucky. And my final honourable mention is, of course, Uluru, or as it's also known, Ayers Rock. This is one of the great natural wonders of the world, and it's also a very deeply spiritual place. And it is now illegal to climb the rock, but people still seem to do it anyway. I don't know why you feel the need to climb it. Just feel lucky you get to be there and see it in all its glory. If you go at sunrise or sunset, the rock becomes this really intense red colour. Really beautiful. You can take a walk around the entire rock, and there are also free ranger guided Mala walks every day where you can learn about the Mala people and the traditional Anango culture. I really don't need to persuade you on this one, right? You're gonna go. Just remember that the best time to visit Uluru is in May, so you can get good moderate temperatures and avoid all the flies. Trust me, you don't want to go see Uluru and be walking around like this. Did I make my point? And just like that, we have come to the end of this video. It is so sad how time flies when you are having this much fun. Don't forget to check out the rest of my videos in this series. I actually only have one more state to talk about. One more! Do you know which one it is? Have you worked it out? As always, you can contact me at alicesbucket@outlook.com if you have any questions or comments or suggestions. Please remember to hit that subscribe button and I will keep creating content like this for you. I will be back next Monday at 6 p.m. Until then, see ya!